So good to see you. All right, I lost.
I guess a lot of economic and I'm sorry, I lost my thought. Typically, when Indian education system asks you to write an essay, I'm sure we have one tab of Wikipedia open, and I'm sure we have one tab of history or some kind of Britannica or something open to just copy paste from and not actually go into depth with whatever we're studying about. But in America, one main thing about academics was that it's not the simple, just rote learn it and write it down. So that was actually a very nice change for me.
Hi, Urvi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
All good. It's so good to see you. Almost a year, right?
Yeah, it's been 10 months.
Interesting. So, without any further ado, Urvi, for our audience, please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello. My name is Urvi Kulkarni. I'm currently a sophomore at Indiana University, and I'm pursuing a business degree at the Kelley School of Business in economic consulting. I come from Pune. I live in Market, and I used to go to the Orchid School for 11th and 12th, and I did commerce there, and here I am doing a business degree.
Great. Okay. I'm just enjoying the fact that you're right here and we're having a podcast. That's such a great way to catch up.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that's really cool, and I'm really proud of you. Congratulations for doing that.
Looking forward to this. Urvi, how has been the journey so far? How exactly? How has been Indiana treating you so far?
Well, it's been a ride. It's literally a roller coaster. My first semester was amazing. I met these intense variety of people, all Indians, internationals, American people, fun to bond with, and my God, I love my professors. Great academic source of validation, and it was overall a journey filled with ups and downs, but a journey I'd love to relive again.
Great. I would like to delve deeper into those ups and downs, right? Please go ahead. How was academics? How did you find the difference? Primarily the academic difference, specifically coming from a CBSE board, typical Desi environment, to international, say, US education system. How has been the difference for you?
So originally I thought it would take a lot of time to adjust to the academics, but contrary, a lot of my professors actually reached out to me saying that if you need anything, because you're an international student, feel free to come forward to us. And that was, I think, one of the biggest source of optimism, or some sort of support that was there to just push me forward, because I knew that there were people riding on me, there were people I could fall back on if I had anything to, if anything went wrong. So one main thing about academics was that it's not the simple, just rote learn it and write it down. So that was actually a very nice change for me, because I've never been a fan of the whole rote learning, and I kind of find it very annoying. But over here, it was more of a practical approach, and everything that I studied, I had to apply to it, and I could actually use it in real world. One of my classes actually allowed me to make a LinkedIn profile, go to recruiting events, and it just put me more ahead, and it gave me an edge, sort of put me out there, boosted my confidence quite a lot. And I think that is one of the things that Indian education systems don't really tend to do to you. A couple of my friends who do go to college here in India, they used to say that whenever they were being marked on, it was more of baseless point cutting. If I had the opportunity for a perfect grade, why wasn't I getting it? Some of their stupid excuses were simply the points for improvement, concept that clearly doesn't it doesn't exist in America. And that was a very good change, because I got perfect grades in some of my classes. I was really happy. It just they just gave me the motivation to do better. Yeah, so that was a very good change.
So when we talk about academics, which specific areas or subjects primarily the classes? You coming, not individually, but you per se coming from a CBSE background, ended up finding it difficult for you to cope up with those classes?
Weirdly, okay, so there was this one course that I did, economics. I did the same course back in high school and I had to take it again because Indian cadets don't necessarily transfer to American colleges. But weird thing was that even though that class was 8 a.m. and I really struggled keeping up with it, it went kind of free flowing again because of my professor. I reached out to her, I went to office hours. I simply told her that I did do this course back then and I do know my concepts, and she told me to write a couple of papers, and she was like, oh, cool, so you do know all of your concepts well. And so that kind of gave me an edge in that class as well because I didn't have to put as much effort in that class because I'd already done the work. And because of my professor, she was nice enough to actually give me that leeway to focus on the other classes that I wasn't that familiar with. Other classes like computers. I'm horrible at computers. Technology doesn't sit well with me, especially Excel and Access, and I think those are difficult to navigate, but it gave me a lot more time to focus on those subjects, and I think because of that I got better at it, and I reached out to those professors as well and they understood me, and it was just an overall, it's kind of like an adjustment that nobody really had a problem with and everybody was comfortable with it and expected me to do, because somehow it's like they expected that as students, it's your college life, it's your academics, you get to move it around. So that was a really refreshing aspect of the whole thing.
Let's move on from academics. How have you found this whole concept of being in US education system? Did you join any clubs?
Yeah, actually I did. So one of the clubs that I really enjoyed, it's called a Kid Again at IU. I'm one of those weird philanthropic kids who likes doing good for other people. So in this club, essentially, kids who had terminal illnesses, we would take them out for adventures, we would raise money for them, we would hold like weekly events just to like be with them so that they wouldn't feel alone. And I met a lot of seniors there, I met a lot of my current friends there. I met a lot of people who give me advice, tell me things on not to do, what to do. And overall, that was a very good experience for me. And it's something that I normally wouldn't have considered because in college, I wanted to be one of those kids who, put myself out there in like a business perspective, like join a couple of business fraternities or something like that. But I'm really glad that I took the decision of joining a Kid Again at IU, and it kind of just set me apart because not a lot of people were doing that, and it kind of made me, it made me happy that I was doing something, giving something back for the community as well.
How exactly you see this joining a club has changed you? Because I know that you have been active, socially active in your school also. Mm-hmm. So how has this extracurricular activity enhanced your learning?
So with a Kid Again at IU, learning-wise, it just gave me an opportunity to meet a lot of different people. And when you meet a lot of different people, in some tidbit form, they always have something to offer to you. Some sort of advice that you're in college now, if somebody's in help, actually go and help them. If it's a stranger, if you see somebody sitting alone in the dining hall, go join them. Who knows, you might just get a friend for life. And it's just these like small various pieces that some of them were even IU alumni themselves. So they even recommended me some courses, some professors to take. So it's just that I didn't expect to meet people who would actually help me out. Because of course you meet people all around in your daily life and they'll be like, hello, yeah, don't do this or this. But then overall, when somebody actually gives you advice that you can actually work around in your life, it kind of changes the way you look at things. And this club really did that for me.
Has this club helped you to network further?
Oh, definitely. 100%. So the thing is, because I'm a business student, a lot of my background, my friend circle, it comes from the fact that they're all other business kids as well. But because a Kid Again at IU wasn't really business oriented, I met a lot of people from the film industry, from the media school. I met some kids from fashion school. So it's just like, I have friends all over now. It's not just restricted to one sort of thing. Some of the other people are art oriented. So because of that, it gives me some sort of art edge to my business work as well. It gives me some sort of an entrepreneurial drive to not just do what everybody else is doing, but put my own spin to it. And being a creative person bodes well with me.
Now that we talk about being a creative person, I know while you were building up your profile and you were really fascinated about writing, you published a book.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
I think it's one of my greatest achievements in life.
We are proud of you for that.
Thank you. But I think one of the most things that I enjoyed about that entire process was how I handled it, because it was really overwhelming and it wasn't something that I just decided on a whim. Because being an author, being a writer, I've done it since I was a kid. My dad has encouraged me to write stories, being it just like, writing off of a story that had been previously published and just coming up with your own imagination, or just coming up with something new entirely. And it became something that I was intensely passionate about. And I think following that one passion throughout that high school, it helped me even more. Because now I know what I want to do, the things that I want to go. And even though I'm a business student, I still have that creative spark in me. So it pushes me to go somewhere in that direction rather than, just like getting an accounting job at Deloitte somewhere.
All right, we never know. It might be your future. You might end up working there.
I wouldn't mind that either, though. I'm sure they're nice people.
Yes, they are. They are. They certainly are. If someone is okay, enough of that. With respect to the creative angle, how do you see specifically the difference in terms of the way your assignments are shaped up? Specifically, say you're writing essays.
Yeah.
How is it different from what you've done here in Indian education system?
So I'm sure that, and a lot of our audience can relate to this, but typically when Indian education system asks you to write an essay, I'm sure we have one tab of Wikipedia open, and I'm sure we have one tab of history or some kind of Britannica or something open to just copy paste from and not actually go into depth with whatever we're studying about. But in America, it sort of gave me a way to actually experiment with what I was writing about. And there weren't really that many restrictions on, how I was able to express myself. Everybody was really kind as to how you're, putting yourself out there, the image that you portray. Because one day, I'm sure you can be a goth girl, or one day, I'm sure you can be an academic professor if you want to be. Depends on how you want the world to see you. And I think that's a really good way to go about it. And I remember one of my essays for one of my classes that I had to do, this 4,000 word essay. And I had to research a lot, go up on so many articles, go on actual databases to find these scholarly articles. And I remember I wouldn't have done that in India. I would have straight up just maybe asked one of my classmates to go hard. You've done this, can I have some of it? So I think I've learned how to research, I've learned how to actually be interested in things and go ahead and dive deeper into things. So kind of this, helps you in the further run. So you're not just, just know about things on a surface level. Because you know about things, you know what you're talking about. That's always a good thing to, go on.
Interesting. Fundamentally, this creative angle is precisely what helps you understand human beings in a way better form, right? You can have your own perceptions.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting way to look at these, specifically the literary courses.
Yeah.
Urvi, could you help us guide through primarily our audience, guide to the aspect of what kind of STEM programs or STEM courses you have chosen? Why have you chosen that? What is your line of thought? What is the process of, what is the role of academic advisor in this entire process? Can you?
Okay, so as of right now, like I mentioned, I'm doing economic consulting, and a lot of my courses are surrounded around economics. So that involves game strategy, microeconomics, macroeconomics, things I'm sure that a lot of 11th and 12th grade in India teach about. And while that definitely helps, all of these subjects are taught on a much more advanced level. And the beauty of it is that even though these are on an advanced level, if you're somebody who doesn't know anything about it, your professors aren't going to teach you and take you straight to the end of the course and be like, oh, this is there and the beginning's on you. They take you through all of it step by step, and you're free to reach out to them if you don't know anything. That's one thing that I really like about the American education system. And regarding with the STEM courses, because a lot of my degrees that actually just come in the diagonal of business and not proper STEM.
Please walk us through your journey of stepping into US education system. So primarily the entire profile building concept. How did you? When did you decide how much amount of time you had? How was this entire journey?
Yeah. So I think this entire journey, even though I know it's a journey for getting colleges to accept you. For me, it was more like a journey of like self-exploration. Like, I really love the fact that I found out a lot of things about myself that I didn't know, especially didn't know I had the capability to do. And I think you have helped me a lot along in that way. I remember like my eldest sister, I think all of it started with her, and because my dad was so hell-bent on sending her to the US as well, it kind of kept in my head as well that yeah, this is something that even I want to do. I want to know what this is about, and this seems like something cool. Like, I want to know what another culture looks like. I want to know what Thanksgiving feels like. And that was something that just got set in my head. So from an early on, I just started researching about universities and just like, how anything I could do could help me with that direction. So I think in about the 10th grade, I did put myself on dedication to like actually go and put myself out there academically. And on 11th and 12th, I decided that now my academics were set, so this was time for me to shine out extracurricularly. And this is one of the best things that I did, like other than the writing book part. But I remember calling you and asking if I should, like just stand up on the student council, because I was totally unsure about it, and I was like, maybe sure, who knows if I had the capability to do it. But you told me to go forward with it, and I did it. I got the boards. I became the house captain of my house, and I think it was one of the most fun things I've ever done. Like, there was so much competition, and I realized that competition was something that I really enjoyed. Like, I loved having the fact that there was something to push me forward to do better and to just improve. Didn't matter if it was sports or academics or just simply waking up at 8 a.m. in the morning to go to school. But I think that was one of the best things I did. And I guess putting yourself out there extracurricular wise, I think it would. One of the main things that even you said was that focusing on one singular passion, it always helps. Because, you're free to have diverse and varied interests, but when you're really intent on, something and people see that, they know that you're not just, like those other kids who are just focusing on everything else, but that you have something in you, that you're actually interested in this, and you have the capability to actually be interested in a lot of other things as well if somebody guides you correctly.
Delve deeper into one specific passion rather than doing 10 different things.
Other things. Exactly.
Yeah, I clearly remember you being house captain, how many times you hung up my call. You were so occupied.
Exactly.
Interesting. Urvi, when we speak about this entire journey, right? With respect to the cultural aspect, the friends you've had here in India versus friends, acquaintances which you have had, your networking which happened in US. Can you explain our audience how tricky, how easy it is to go out there, reach out to people, and eventually at the end of the day be proactive about it?
Yeah. So I guess this is what maybe a lot of people tell you when they've been to the US, that you just get out there, you just don't stay in your room. But sometimes people don't realize that sometimes you don't have an option. So you do kind of get a little cornered back and you get a little intimidated because you don't know anybody around you. But I kind of use that as a way to channel the fact that I could, now I'm in this corner, maybe it's time to get back out there. So I did that. For the first of my entire semester, I hung out with all different types of people. Like, I did not rest. I was not in my room. My roommates were fully annoyed by the fact that I did not keep up with my room, and I was just not there. And I hung out with a lot of people of different ethnicities, some Spanish people, Hispanic people. I spent time with a lot of American people, of course. I met a lot of sorority girls. I met a lot of Indian people as well. And while it was significantly easier spending time with Indian people because they had the same experiences as me, as somebody to fall back on, I thought it was much more fun to be with somebody who didn't know the same experience as me. Because in a way, it was kind of like we were sharing and exchanging that information. I remember one of my friends, Joel, he's Bangladeshi, but he's been brought up in America his whole life. So I remember we used to always get up at 8 a.m. and we used to have breakfast after our classes. And we would just dish on about how, even though we had the same relatively same experiences, we just like led such different lives. Like he was allowed to have a car at 16 and just drive on. I was like, whoa, my dad would not let me do that. And he would go on about stories about his grandma spending time in India, and I would go on about stories about my dad coming on business trips to America. And somehow along the way, we just bonded along all of these experiences. Now, I'm not saying that each and every person that you meet in America is going to be like that, but sometimes when it's not like that, when the person is not like that, doesn't mean you just shut yourself back in that room again. You take it as an experience, and you're like, oh, okay, so this was another experience, another lesson I've learned. Now I can move to the next one. Safe to say, I've made my fair share in judging wrong people. I've made my own mistakes, but meeting people, I think it's been one of the best things that I've done. Even my own professors, for one of my creative writing general education requirements, my professor was Chinese, and even he was an international immigrant. So he'd come to Arizona, and the four of us students, me and him, we got like really close, and we used to always just stay back after class and we talk about our experiences, and it was something that I hadn't actually imagined could happen, because teachers and professors, it's usually a difficult bonding because you never really know.
There's a distance.
Yeah, of course, you never really know what to say to them. So I think that the fact that even he was somebody who could relate to me, and it just kind of like lessen that distance, and it seemed like, oh, there's somebody else who's not my age who can relate to me. So it just felt more freeing, and I didn't feel all that more afraid to put myself out there.
To capitalize on this fact, when you specifically share a bond with faculty or a teacher or professor, you would end up realizing that they are the most resourceful.
Exactly.
They end up having a huge amount of network of alumni. They have great connections. Specifically, when you're looking for on-campus jobs, you're looking to get into, say, TA opportunities or internships, right? It's extremely important to bond well with your professors.
I 100% get that. So for one of my, this is one of our classes titled K201. It's called Computers and Business. It's one of the hardest classes in our freshman year for business degrees. And I remember coming 15 minutes early to all of my classes, bonding with our professor. I would talk to her about my weekend, about nothing in general. I talked to her about her cats, I remember. And I just totally just get along well with her because she's such a sweet person. And I think we had this one thing where in that class, if we all reached a certain GPA, not a GPA, a certain grade point, and we were good enough with the professors and they recommended us, they put our name down for peer tutoring. And that's where it did end up helping me. She put my name for it down, and I got to be a peer tutor for my second semester. Although it was at 9-10, it was still a whole different experience because last semester I was somebody who was learning that course, and now suddenly I was somebody who could teach that course to somebody else. And it made me feel like, oh, I had all of this knowledge that I could actually help somebody. And it just put me in this great advantage. And now I could use that to further up and become a TA for next semester and just improve on this. Because like they say, you can't learn any way better than to teach it to somebody else. So I think that's one of the best things about, just bonding and just professors, best friends.
A unique perspective to that. Isn't peer tutoring one of those stepping stones to be a TA?
Yeah, of course, yeah. At first, I was very hesitant to take it because I didn't want to do the extra work without getting paid or anything. But one of my friends actually convinced me, and they were like, just look at it as a way of a revision of sorts. You're essentially just relearning the material, and next year you can just be on the operator. You can earn double the money that you'd probably get as a peer tutor, and you'd actually impart people knowledge, and you'd be on a high standing. You'd be on the inner level with the faculty. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Because it felt like an opportunity just landed in my lap, and I didn't want to waste it. Would have been foolish to let it go. And I'm really glad that I did it because other than just being punctual and on time, teaching somebody, it just became a way to meet other people as well. Because there was this whole other batch of freshman people that they didn't know anything, they were also new. So it just became a way, we were on the same level. So it just became a way to make more friends as well.
This is perfect. As a matter of fact, I've discussed with, specifically for master students who end up getting TAs, their way of looking at TA is that it's a two-way approach. You end up making connections at both the ends. Because you are a TA, there are a decent amount of students who are going to get in touch with you, who will be your friends, right? I'm not sure whether that's frowned upon or not.
I don't think so.
And the second way, for obvious reasons, you end up being in the inner circle of the faculty or professors.
Yeah, it just puts you in a good word, and you're just surrounded with a lot of other people that get you, that who are maybe in a position like you. So it just puts you in a good graces, and it just gives you a lot to learn from. You're surrounded by people who've made the same mistakes that you have, that you can go to for advice as well. That's never hurt anybody.
Yeah, true that. True that. Now, being into peer tutoring, or say for that matter, joining clubs, that's one of the best opportunities for you to network with your seniors.
Yeah, of course, definitely. With seniors, I think the best way to go on about it is to approach them a little more like they're your older siblings, because when they're seniors, they're not your casual friends. You can't really talk to them as if they're in the same level as you, because they're also seniors. They have that some sort of I wouldn't say arrogance, but they have that confidence to them that, yeah, we've been through this, we've been where you were, so I'm going to make you work for it a little bit. So, of course, it's never like they're going to say no to you, but you just have to learn who to get along with, because seniors, they're in for a lot of things in colleges. For one of my business fraternities, again, business school, business fraternities, huge thing on our campus. So when it comes to business fraternities, these don't work without your senior connections. So if you know seniors and they have a good impression of you, they can simply help you even if you've messed up on an interview. Not to say that it's sort of like an in if you don't deserve that position, but they've known you and they can vouch for you. They know that what kind of a person you are, and that kind of helps you along the way. So with seniors, they're into a lot of things. They can give you advice, they can help you on recruitments, internships, especially even on on-campus jobs. They're always good as recommenders or something. Seniors, best friends, again.
That's ideal. I believe that seniors are the first person to be aware of the fact that there is going to be a vacancy here.
Exactly.
Because that entire batch has been right there doing the same kind of job. So, Urvi, why should one think about applying to Indiana? Why Kelley Business School?
Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions of all time. I've loved IU. I absolutely enjoy being there. I love the campus. I am in love with the state. Even though a lot of people say that Indiana isn't really, the most culturally popular state, I guess. But IU is located in Bloomington. It's a beautiful college town, and there's something about a close town where everybody knows everybody else, and it just feels like a home away from home, not to be cringe, but I guess people say it's truth. IU it's diverse. It's not just for business, it's not just for science. We have an Eskenazi School of Art and Architecture and Design, which is reputed, well known. We have our media school, we have our Luddy School of Intelligence. The thing is that IU doesn't just focus itself and limit itself to just one aspect. My Kelley school, it's ranked number 8 in the entire US in business degrees, and I don't take
My Kelley, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
I've loved being at Kelley. The opportunities it's given me, the recruiting events it's given me, it's almost like it's like an invisible force that's pushing you to just keep being better. Being at Kelley, it's kind of like it's our tagline that goes from movement to momentum, and it feels like everybody who's over there is actually there to make that come true. When you walk into the walls of Hodge Hall, one of the main places our Kelley business classes take place, nobody's stopped for a moment. Everything's always happening. People are always talking about ideas. There's always somebody talking about some kind of accounting firms, or somebody's always talking about some way to make the world change or make it a better place. And that's something I can't get enough of. That's something I've always loved about Kelley, and honestly I would encourage anybody to go there. Plus our professors at Kelley School, they're all reputed, they're all really good. Lawyers, accountants, CAs at really big firms, connections with really good other people and alumni. Side note, Urvi Singh went to IU.
Aha, interesting. Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, if you're interested in Bollywood creative writing, you've got a place at IU as well. Just, it's never felt for a moment that you're alone at IU. There's always somebody there, there's always somebody doing something that might be remotely something that you're interested in, or largely something that you're interested in. So, you're never alone at IU. Yeah.
It's quite a huge statement, and specifically, when you have experienced that, it feels home. Mm-hmm. It's as if you are literally selling IU, Kelley for that matter. Mm-hmm. now that Urvi, you are on the other side of the table, right? How would you guide? I have this question is divided in two parts. How would you guide the parents, specifically for high school going students in grade 9, grade 10, right? Who are yet to decide whether they should be applying to US or say for that matter apply to India now, right? What would you advise them in about this entire process? And the second question for this reason is about what exactly would you advise the students? What should they look up to? Please.
Okay. With parents, I'm going to give you my example. I think my dad was my biggest supporter, and I don't think I've said thank you or been enough grateful for him. But he's been my number one supporter. He's pushed me to apply for colleges, to look at them. He's pushed me into the idea of US, because for him it wasn't just something that, oh, I'm sending my daughter abroad. For him it was a chance to eventually kind of live out his dream as well, but in a good way, in a way that would let me experience world way before he did. Because now I can actually talk to him and be like, oh, yeah, I have the same experiences as you. Cool. So that's one thing that I've always been grateful for. My mom has always been patient. She's always asked me, oh, did this college get back to you? Have you emailed them? Have you emailed that school? So that was something, so she never backed down. She was always with my dad. If something didn't go right, they would always just hop on with me and we'd figure it out with you and we'd get along and just figure it out and solve that problem. And with parents, I think the one advice I give to them is just be patient and push your kids. Because trust me, since I've been the kid, I know that it can get a little overwhelming for us. Like, we're doing all of these things at once to impress all these colleges, and we're in our prime teen years where we want to do a whole lot of other things, but you know, they don't really matter that much when you grow up, like once you've grown up, and they're there to keep you on track. So with parents, just be patient, push your kids, and know what your kid is like. Because once you know them, you know what they want to do. Don't push them to do something that you want to do and not your kid. So just be attentive, listen to them, just be there for them. Because sometimes that's honestly the only thing that helps. Because sometimes, who knows, you get a rejection letter and all you want is to cry in your mama's lap. And that helps a lot.
I remember how huge of a support system, especially your dad. He's been through his entire journey, absolutely following things up point to point. Excellent, please.
Almost felt like he was the one applying to college.
Yes, isn't this the statement? You know, I generally end up saying that specifically when you're applying for undergrad, it's not the kid's application; it's the entire family's application which is going.
All these familial connections that you've built up kind of builds you as a person, and most people don't realize, but family does build you. So seeing them build that, so I think your family needs to give you space so you can build yourself, sometimes apart from them and sometimes with them as well. I think that's one really great thing about parents. And when it comes to actually, if you want to go to the US, my mindset on this has been very simple. I love cultures and I love people. I love meeting new people, and somehow the idea that I would get to go to a whole different country all on my own, see somebody else, live out my entire life freely without any restrictions from mom telling me oh, you have to be back home at 8 p.m. It felt exhilarating and exciting, and it was new, and I knew that was something that I wanted to do. So if that sounds like you, just go for it. But other than that, it's more like, what does it feel like to have Christmas in a Christian family? What's it like to have, just sit down under a Christmas tree with like gifts around it? What's the ideal movie picture that they always show you, right? What's Thanksgiving like? Is there actually a really big turkey? Of course there is. I've been there. And do the football games really look like, with all that hype, all the basketball hype, do games really look like that? Of course they do, and there's so much more cheer, there's so much more energy around it. That is something that I don't want to miss. Because as much as I would like it to be here, it isn't really there over here in India that much. Over there, it's a whole vibrant atmosphere, and it's something that I feel like people shouldn't miss out on. I'm not saying you should transmigrate to America. Feel free to come back to India anytime you like. But it's an experience that you should have.
It's the experience we are talking about. Even because these are your formative years, right? This is precisely what you're talking about. and these years, that's where you would eventually fall in love with a particular subject.
Exactly.
And in this age, when you are experience all these culturally different atmospheres, that's where you grow, you evolve as a human being.
Exactly. In these last 10 months, before going to college, I'd never even stepped outside India. But just in these last months, I've been to San Francisco, I've been to Detroit, I've been to South Carolina, I've been to New York. And it's given me such an opportunity to go around places. Because on the streets of New York, you will find God knows what, right? You will find people talking about the latest fashion trends and get inspiration from them. In California, you will hear people talking about AI and upcoming tech, and it's just such a refreshing thing to constantly be surrounded around so much knowledge or upcoming things that people don't normally talk about in India. Things that could be considered taboo in India are very freely and openly talked about in America, and that's one thing that I absolutely miss about America.
What advice would you give to high schoolers when they know that they are applying to US? How should they step up their profile?
It's I don't even know if this is a metaphor or not, but it's like when you're climbing that mountain and you're driving and you need to like accelerate really quickly to actually keep up with that hill. That's the kind of speed you should have when you're applying to college. You should be filled with that much drive, that much passion, and sometimes because you're going abroad, because you set your mind to it, it's automatically there in you. So don't set yourself short. Like, that's one thing, because I remember doing that as well. I remember just being like, oh, I've gotten in once. Maybe I should like just stop trying maybe. But I didn't. I kept forward. I put in my best for exams, extracurriculars, house captaincy. I gave it my best shot because all in all, it was all of that motivation to like, there's so much excitement upcoming in your life and you don't want to lose out on all of it. You're at the peak of your youth. You're going into this whole new world. Like, why would you want to go in with low energy? Like, go in with such a high speed, because it doesn't matter if you crash, because you're there. You're experiencing so many things, because eventually you do get back up again. And it's just that put yourself forward, right? Just focus on things that you really love and sell that. Sell yourself. Sell yourself in such a way that it's not just an idea, but it is you that's coming out. It becomes you, so that you become this better and enhanced version of yourself, and you're actually proud of who you've become. You're not just that sloppy teenager who you just, sit on the bed in summer and just watch Netflix all the time. You're somebody out there who's, I don't know, probably learning a new language or getting an internship somewhere else. Anything. It just helps you become a better version of yourself. I think that's one of the best reasons you could apply to it.
Awesome. I'm so proud and happy to literally experience this enhanced and better version of Urvi. The delta in these 10 months has been substantial. We've been discussing things outside of this podcast, and I'm so proud of the way you have shaped up. I'm looking forward to the way all the things and possibilities and the endeavors you're planning to apply to. We at Anannt are really proud of you so far, and I'm wishing you all the best for all the future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
All the best wishes.
Couldn't have done it without you.
All the best, dear. Please take care.